Good morning, gentlemen. We are going to be talking about something relatively important today, and that is going to be increasing nutrient uptake to the penis. Because, in premise, the more nutrients we can get into the penis, the faster the tissue will grow. First, we need to talk about why it's somewhat difficult to get a lot of nutrients into the tissues that matter for penis enlargement, the tunica albuginea. So to fully understand this, though, we need to do a little bit of a background with basic biology. A lot of us in high school were taught that we are made up of cells, which is correct. And then the circulatory system feeds those cells nutrients, oxygen, and then the lymphatic system drains it of waste. That is mostly correct, but there's a huge part that we are not talking about in the basic biological sense. That is the extracellular matrix. So, inside your body, there needs to be some kind of structure to keep your body from not falling apart. That is going to have a lot of structural proteins called collagen, and then there's going to be different ways. There's going to be different proteins that help regulate cell movement. So your stem cells can climb across different structures to get to places faster, essentially. A lot of connective tissues do not have a direct blood supply since they are just strings of proteins. So the tunica albuginea, which is predominantly collagen and a little bit of elastin, is mostly proteins. So they are going to have a much slower healing response compared to a cell because they do not have any active healing response. They don't divide via mitosis. They are constructed by stem cells. The problem is we have 5 times the amount of extracellular matrix to actual cells in the tunica albuginea. So it would be like a single parent with 4 kids. It's kind of a nightmare for the stem cell in charge of keeping that tissue healthy and spry. And then on top of that, since there's not an active blood supply, the only way nutrients are given to the tunica albuginea for repair and hypertrophy is through passive diffusal. So what happens is there will be a terminal outlet in your cardiovascular system to the tunica albuginea, and then some nutrients will be sporadically released into the tunica albuginea. So between just lack of nutrient supply, lack of helpers to build the tunica albuginea up, we're going to see a much slower growth of the tissue compared to a working tissue like the muscle. And for example, I have been lifting for about the same time I've been doing penis enlargement. Granted, I didn't take breaks from weightlifting, but my arms were a measly 13 inches when I started lifting back when I was 16. They are now 17 inches. So in total area, they've almost doubled from 13 and a half inches squared for the total area. So the actual meat of my arm was 13 inches squared. Now they are 23 inches squared. So they potentially doubled in size in a decade of weightlifting. Compared to my penis, the total volume of my penis only increased about 50% in the same time. So we went from 2 square inches of total penile area to 3 squared inches of total penile volume, not volume, area. So just on that premise, active blood supply literally doubles the rate of gain. If it was similar to muscle building, granted there's a whole bunch of reasons why a muscle would grow faster than soft tissues, mainly because there's an active signal for muscle growth in a large fashion. But my point still remains, just the fact there's an active blood supply in this tissue helps a ton. So I call this phenomena the tunica bottleneck. The fact that we have low nutrient delivery to the tunica albuginea, and the fact that we have low potentiators for growth and repair with low stem cell count compared to protein count. So the first idea that makes sense, at least on paper, is getting just more blood flow in general to the penis. And there's a few ways you can do that. First one is increase blood flow to the genitals. And that's one of the reasons why I started taking Sustanch and Domania. That basically signals more blood flow because they're both a bit of an aphrodisiac. So they will bring more blood flow to the penis. So your passive flaccid should be slightly larger. And in my experience, your testicles get a lot larger. But then this is going to be a bit of a product spot. I've also been taking Virility and Vitality because they both have ingredients that increase stimulus to the genitals. So mainly Shilajit and Vitality. Let me double check. But there's also a few other libido enhancers. Not necessarily by design. They're testosterone boosters first, but there will be libido enhancements with an increase in testosterone. Therefore, more blood to the genitals. And then Virility, same idea. There is going to be some ingredients that increase libido. The maca root, and it depends on like a few things, but for me, when I take sunflower lecithin, my libido increases, therefore more blood flow to the penis. That's like, if you're looking for a relatively easy way to increase blood flow, supplementation is actually a pretty safe bet, but it's not going to be the be-all, end-all. And since I started doing this supplementation stuff, I've just noted a much thicker, denser flaccid. But that could also be because of PRP, so your results may vary. Next thing, and this is like more practical advice than taking 10 supplements in the morning, is the concept of feeder sets. Now, I talked about this either on a live stream or a question and answer session, but there is Soviet-era research that shows the more blood flow you get to a tissue, the bigger it grows. It's not a crazy concept, right? Just thinking about it on paper. So what they would have their athletes do is, like, after they stimulated the muscle for anabolic activity, so, you know, a typical workout, they would have their athletes do, like, twice a day, 1,000 reps with, like, 2.5 pounds to whatever muscle they want. And that's just to stimulate as much blood to get into the muscle as possible. This will remove of any anabolic activity waste and then increase nutrient uptake to the muscle because you're getting a pump, pulling more fluid into the muscle with nutrients. So, translating that to penis enlargement, on potentially what we want to do is feeder sets, but for penis enlargement. Now, the issue here is that it would be very easy to overwork if you're pumping twice a day, 10 to 20 minutes. So we need to cut down on our pressure. So I'm going to say it in kilopascals because that's what I've been working with for the past 3 months. I pump up to 30 kilopascals with the Peak Male Physique auto pump that is available now, unlike everything else. But for like my working sets, so 30 kilopascals are my working sets. So 30 kilopascals are my working sets. When I do feeder sets, or when I did do feeder sets, I would only do about 25 kilopascals because we are not trying to actively stretch the tissues. We are just trying to pull as much blood and potentially even extracellular matrix, the interstitial fluid, into the penis, which is going to be carrying all those nutrients. So if we're just thinking about this practically, we want to have like a relatively hard session, 3 to 4 days a week. 3 to 5 days a week, really. And then 12 hours later, you want to do a feeder set with pumping. And then on your off day, you want to do 2 feeder sets of pumping, AM and PM, for like 10 minutes. Again, 20% of your actual working load. So if you pump up to 10 inches of mercury, I think I said that right, yeah. You're welcome, Hank. 10 inches of mercury, what we call Hg on the form. You would want to pump up to about 7.5 Hg and just hold it. You don't need to do any interval pumping. We're just trying to pull in as much fluid as possible. This is not going to be the same as subcutaneous edema, though. The really awesome thing that I've noticed with feeder sets is that first, it's psychologically rewarding because you're just getting a fat flaccid every 12 hours. So, like, you know, you fill your underwear better. Then I just noticed more activity in general on top of like the aphrodisiacs that I've been taking. The just increase in penile activity the first couple weeks I've done it night and day difference. Then another thing that is potentially actually harming your gains is frequent masturbation. Now, guys, I'm not anti-FAP. I am team self-control, temperance. Team temperance is what I am. So, you ideally should not be masturbating or ejaculating more than once a day, right? So, like, either with sex or either with masturbation in particular. There's going to be a signal that actually downregulates blood flow to the genitals because your body does not want you to get aroused, as it needs to build up more semen and sperm cells so that way you can, produce as many kids as possible. That's the evolutionary sense of it. So, cut back on your masturbation habits if it's over one a day, is all I'm really saying. I'm not going to say limit sex because, like, who the hell wants to do that? Sex should always come first in your endeavors in life. No. So when it comes to penis enlargement, sex should always come first. Don't optimize your life around penis enlargement. Your penis enlargement should be optimized around life. So, is there anything else I really need to talk about with this subject? This is a relatively new phenomenon, so it is not in my book yet. I want to get like some concrete evidence before I add it to the book. But from the little bit of results I've had and the amount of clients that I've had have some success with it so far has been promising. So that's why I want to talk about it here. Get it out to you guys so that way you can tell me if I'm full of shit. Oh, one other thing, and I talked about this last year, is the idea of passive diffusal of nutrients through the skin. So I'm just going to lay it out for you. If you can get every single amino acid in a transdermal, they're all going to be light enough to pass through the skin. The tunica albuginea is literally like 1 millimeter under the skin. So like it has to pass through some type of fascia, the buccal fascia, and that'll be right on the tunica albuginea. On paper, that would be the most effective way to increase nutrient uptake of the tunica albuginea. The problem is we don't know how much nutrients will get through the skin because, one, the skin is also made up of collagen. So it's going to be a very greedy bastard when it comes to like the nutrient uptake. And two, we don't know actually how effective it will be. Just because there's a whole bunch of nutrients laying around doesn't mean that the tunica sites or the stem cells of the tunica albuginea will be able to use all of that amino acids quickly to rebuild these peptides because there's only 1 per 5 basically. So it's worth a chance. I actually have them right here. So this is amino acid complete. Do not take it orally. You're going to mix amino acid complete with aloe or coconut oil or whatever lotion. It doesn't really matter. Rub it in on your penis twice a day. And the worst case scenario is that you have flawless dick skin. Okay? So this is something I've really wanted to try. It's just I've been so busy to actually sit down and make the proper formula, I guess, if you want to call it, and the mental capacity to stick to just a daily routine. Like, I can't even use my own lotion more than every other day at this point. But that's another idea that I've had. Not saying this one's the most out there, but I think there's at least some scientific backing. Just because passive nutrient delivery has been a thing with medicine for a while now. It might be worth a shot is all I'm saying. But yeah, I think this take came out better than the last ones. I had to redo this like 10 times this morning. But let me know what you think in the comments on the Reddit and the forum. Guys, please use the forum. I pay like a decent bit of money every month to have it up. So it would be worth it for you guys to use it because then you can make it your own community and not have to worry about Reddit. All I'm saying. But yeah, I will talk to you guys in the next one. You can get all of the supplements, particularly Virility and Vitality, if you want to support me in Doc Hank on Amazon right now. We are still having some stock issues just because of how well they are selling. So, go us. Sorry for you guys. I will talk to you guys in the next one.